There we go. We're live. All right. So, yeah, Rockstar. I saw you grab one. Let's get some flack from everybody. Inside here is actually Red Bull. So,
Yeah,
I'm trying not to get hit by anybody right now.
man, I got no qualms about it, man. I drink them like water. I know it's not good, but it's what I do.
That's it, man. So, what have you been up to? I know we met in Florida and Orlando. We were at an event, Train the Trainer. How are you using that? I see all the degrees in the back of behind you right now.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about yourself, and then we can go into that question.
Yeah, so I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I think we talked about it a little bit, but we're based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. So we do all sorts of criminal charges. Basically, anytime anybody's been charged with a DUI or a domestic violence or anything like that, we represent people on those offenses. Most of our clients are very good people. They've never been in trouble before. We're just trying to help them through kind of a sticky situation. And our firm's been doing real well. I'm constantly trying to elevate myself, to learn more, to kind of just raise my game up a little bit. One of the things that I'm doing now with some of the coaching that I've got that I met you at that seminar,
Yeah.
is I started this program. It's called Clean Slate Sobriety. So if you go to cleanslatesobriety.org, it'll take you there. You can download all my materials and whatnot. But basically, it's a program that I go into recovery centers and treatment centers where people are recovering from alcohol or drug abuse or whatever it is, and I give them a crash course on the law. So I explain for the first hour how Arizona law works, how things get bad very quickly here. It's not like California or Colorado when it comes to marijuana offenses. I mean, it's serious business here. And so what I'll do is I'll give them a crash course on that and show them how dangerous of a position they are in. And it's kind of a wake-up call for a lot of people. They know it's not healthy. They know it's dangerous for themselves and their body and that they're not functioning well, but they don't realize kind of how close to prison they really are.
Right.
And then that's for the first part of it. The second part of it is for helping people actually clear off their records. So that's where the clean slate comes in. So it's about identifying people in that room who have pending cases, criminal cases, or have old cases, and they want to clear their record up. So I help them. I walk them through the process on how it works, help them prepare the paperwork, fill out the motions. Typically, we're in a decent-sized group of people that they've been working with for the last 60 to 90 days. So I can get all of the other people in the group to write character references for them, and they can have a whole pack of materials so that they can get this motion filed. And then by the time they come out of the treatment center, now they are, have a new lease on life because of their sobriety. And then they can also start fresh. They can go get jobs because they don't have any prior criminal convictions, or they don't have any, criminal record. They can start clearing that stuff up, go get jobs, go get, apply for an apartment, get housing, and all sorts of cool stuff. So it's been very well received. And I use the format and sort of some of the techniques that we went through at that seminar to kind of jumpstart that process. But I'm super passionate about it. I'm sober myself. I lost my little brother to drugs and then suicide in 2016. So it's something that touches me very, very personally. And I'm real active in helping other families who've gone through it. We have a nonprofit called ericshouse.org in memory of my brother, but basically anybody who has suffered a loss as a result of suicide, overdose, or really any tragic death.
Yep.
We help people through it. So got a lot of stuff cooking, man. It's good. It's good though.
Yeah, Rob, you're an interesting guy, right? Like I remember when I met you, you got your head on tight, right? We just did not the Enneagram, it was Myers-Briggs. You're an ENTJ, so like I completely get where you're coming from with life.
Yeah.
Something hits you, you do something about it, right?
Yeah.
You see something bad in the world, you got to fix it, right? It's who you are. So in Fall River, this is the city that I'm from. It's in Massachusetts. It's considered one of the worst cities, right? You got Fall River, New Bedford, Brockton. Those are the cities that really got hit hard with opioids because it's just what happens, right? And overdose is something that's common. And now I don't want to talk about it in a negative frame, right? So it's something that's going away. It's something that we're removing and cleaning up. What would you say your charity, your foundation has been able to do, or maybe what is the mission as far as removing the strength that opioids have, as far as even the brand of itself, right? Everybody calls it an epidemic, and we know how that makes it more contagious, right?
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is, there are a lot of resources out there for people who I wouldn't call them necessarily good resources, but there's a lot of resources for people in kind of in the thick of it, people who are actively addicted to these things. What happened with my brother is it's the traditional story. He had a bad wrist break that he suffered as a result of a bike accident, and he kept re-breaking it over a number of years. Multiple surgeries, had to go through and get, plates and screws and everything put in. And so they started him on the pain pills. The pain pills turned into the harder pain pills, which turned into heroin. We tried rehab with him for multiple years. It was a really long and sad story. I mean, his body was basically withering away. We just couldn't get through to him. It became too much. And in 2016, he decided to end it. And so as we were going through that process, we had a lot of options. There were a lot of information and a lot of resources, but when we lost him, it all stopped. There was nothing. I mean, we had no idea what to do. I was there the morning it happened, and everything was just a whirlwind. And so for us, a lot of it's about at this stage about helping the next family who's going through it, because when you lose somebody in a situation like this, it devastates the whole family. I mean, my family is still, kind of in pain from it, but the way that you cope with that and how you deal with that is you help the next family through it. So we have somebody actually donated a house in Paradise Valley, which is a really nice part of Arizona.
Yep.
It's right behind the mountain. It's beautiful. And basically they donated this house for us to offer all these different modalities to help people through the process. So we've got a men's group that meets every Thursday. Actually, I'm meeting with them tonight. We're starting a siblings group. We're starting for siblings who've lost somebody, who've lost a sibling, men who've lost a child or a parent or something, because men grieve differently than women do. Siblings grieve differently than the parent does. And so the idea is to really help these next people through it, and build a community around it of people who can support each other, because there is a lot of stigma about it, a lot of stigma about addiction, a lot of stigma about suicide. And so it's kind of, how can we change the conversation a little bit and help the next family through it so that it doesn't spiral out of control? If you look at the numbers, and I'm not a statistics guy because I live it, but there's a lot of them that say that if there's one suicide in a family, or one overdose in a family, or one substance abuse problem in a family, it's going to trickle down. It's going to hit the kids or the parents or the siblings. So it's okay. How do we deal with somebody who's really suffering and in a lot of pain, and make sure that they can get support so that we can, kind of nudge them back onto the track in their lives.
Right. And to that point, there's a book, I don't remember what the name of it is right now, but if I think of it, it's somewhere back there. But the book mentioned how if suicide was talked about, the more it's talked about, the more likely suicide became something that would happen in that localized area. So if a plane crashed and then it was publicized in an area, more pilots were crashing planes. And now it becomes one of those things. It's just people think about it more, they attract it more.
Yeah.
I think that's a major part of it. And I remember I've lost a lot of people to heroin especially, right? And one of the saddest stories I remember is somebody who worked for me. She was my property manager, and her daughter ended up passing, and it was unfortunate. And we raised a charity, and I contributed a large part to the funeral funds, just because it's there's nothing you can do for them.
Yeah.
But I remember now, her daughter and her grieved completely differently. And then the brothers completely different. Like the whole family really got shook up and separated. Like they all just stopped talking to each other for a little while.
Yeah.
Although I know they're working things out now, it really shook them up. Even this is, a year and a half or 2 years later, and there's things that have been changed about them that you can't unchange.
Yeah, it's a bomb that goes off in a family, and it's really difficult for people to understand what happened, especially when they can sort of tie people. At least I was questioning, why did he do that? Why couldn't he, talk to me about it? We're brothers. We were close. He could have talked to me about anything. And so you just have all these different thoughts that are spiraling out of control. And then you sort of blame yourself a little bit. And, it's a difficult thing. And so the idea is we're just trying to, help a family just like that, because they can't, it's very difficult for them to find another group of people who relate to what they're going through.
Right.
If you lost your cat or you got fired from your job or something, it's not the same ballpark. It's not the same thing. So it's a tricky thing. We're doing what we can. We're still trying to figure it out as we go. Just be there to support, and we're learning a lot. It's been a good journey.
Yeah, and I think that ties in with who you are, right? You're not about to have, just because you haven't figured it out, be the reason you don't do something.
Right.
You're going to go figure it out on your way through it, and you'll find a way to make it better, just by being involved. So switching gears back, do you guys play with real estate at all? Have you considered investing that way, or is this you found success in your business and now you're looking to contribute back as kind of a philanthropist?
Yeah, so we have, yeah. I mean, real estate is something that we have not actually taken a dive into yet, but we are considering it. I mean, we at some point want our law firm to we're really proud of the work we're doing, and we want to grow. I mean, that's just what it comes down to, and I think that it makes sense at some point to buy a building, rather than continue to lease a building or to open up shop in different places. We'd like to move up, go up north of Flagstaff, down south to Tucson. And then I'm also licensed in California. There's a lot of beautiful places there.
Oh, yeah.
Just open up shop there. So, yeah, I do think real estate is part of the equation. We're not there yet, but
right.
But definitely once the company matures a little bit and we have a little extra resources.
I like what you're doing. So my brother started a business a while back, Camp Academy. It's a parkour ninja warrior gym, and he works with a lot of children. And when he started, he said, I want to buy a building and I want to do my own thing. And I gave him the same advice that you're running right now. I told him, look, start with as low bills as you possibly can, as little capital as you possibly can, run it, explode it, do an amazing job in proof of concept.
Yeah.
Buy the real estate eventually. Because
Right.
you don't even know what your building's like, what kind of building you really, really need until you've been running for a long time. You may find you put yourself in the wrong location, or that something wasn't right until you've really tested proof of concept. And the other side, don't take on the risk. Don't take on that risk and that liability, especially commercial real estate, until you've got a booming business that you can put into that place.
Yeah. I think that's great advice, and that's kind of what we're doing. Probably not because we thought through it a whole lot, but just by necessity. Just kind of by accident. We're just saying, oh, well, we can't. We don't have $1 million of liquid capital to go buy a building. So
right.
We got to build up, a nice some credit and some funds, and it's a lot of work to manage a building if you're not using the whole building, and so it's just we don't have the capacity for it right now, but that's fine. We're doing a lot of other super interesting stuff, and we'll get there.
Yeah, and so I wrote the book, right? Broke to $250,000.
Yeah.
And in that, I did it through real estate, but there's 3 channels. You got stocks, real estate, and business. And I've always said that business is the fastest, right?
Yeah.
Business is the one you can grow the fastest. You can bring the most income in. It's the leanest, right? If you do it right, as long as you build it the correct way, it can be lean and it can be fast. And eventually, you take your money and you roll it into real estate. That's kind of the easy strategy, real estate or stocks, like whichever one you're more comfortable with. So it's just, to me, I'm watching, you're just a titan of industry, right? Like you're pile driving through, you figured out business, you know how to scale it. And that's one of the best ways to wealth. It's one of the top 3.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I love talking to entrepreneurs who know what they're doing. And you've been growing. I mean, from the time I met you till now, I see your social media you've always been good at it, but I'm just seeing you more active. You're doing even more.
Yep.
Podcast is cool. Like you're doing now the philanthropy. I saw that on YouTube the other night. I said, man, like I got to get Rob involved here. I know you're doing very much a lot of work with the families. What advice would you suggest? And I don't know, maybe it's the same thing for Arizona, but for our city here or our state, what would you say the citizens can do to help improve in their community? Just the awareness around the right way to act around people who are handling opioids at the moment, right? That I hate the idea of calling it an epidemic. I hate the way the country treats it.
Yeah.
I'd really like, like Mother Teresa said, if you want to stop war, you don't have war rallies, right? You have peace rallies. She's like, I'll go to a peace rally any day, but I'm not going to go to a stop war rally, right?
Yeah. It's a great question, and it's something that's a difficult answer, because I don't think that there is any one answer to solve what's going on. But when you see something like this go on, it's close to you, you're seeing it with friends or, people who are not maybe in your immediate family, but you're seeing it, somebody else struggling through it. I would just encourage people just to have an open heart, just to be there, lend support, maybe take an extra 10 minutes out of your day to send a text message or make a phone call every now and then, bring a meal, ask somebody to go out to dinner, for breakfast, for a quick coffee, and just kind of, you don't want to be overbearing about it because people grieve in their own ways, but just the simple fact of just, hey, I'm here, man, if you want to talk. We can go grab a coffee, and that will really help people through that process, just to know that there are other people out there who care about them, because the first instinct, at least mine was to just isolate, isolate yourself. I don't want to talk about it. I'm hurt. You don't understand. But there were a couple people in my life who just said, you know what? I don't understand because I have not gone through that. I've never lived it. I've never experienced anything like what you're going through. That's cool though. We can go get a coffee and talk about whatever, and it's really a good way to just connect on that humanitarian level and just be there to support people.
Yeah. So you're thinking that coffee might be the solution, right?
Coffee is the solution. Yeah. Yeah.
Coffee and food solves all the world's problems.
Right. That's right. It's a good formula.
I love it, Rob. It's just be human, right? Like have a human connection and don't try to solve their problems. I think the problem is that people are isolating in the first place. Now that I'm listening to you, the person who got into that substance was probably isolating themselves in the first place. Yeah. They got there because they isolated further and further and further, and just kind of filling a void. And we are the average of the 5 people we're surrounding ourselves with. Right. So if we're finding in common with people that are doing the same things, it's only going to perpetuate. So if we can, well, first, be a solid human being, be a good human being, and then allow yourself to infect other people, right? Allow yourself to spread that positivity. And your secret weapon is coffee or lunch or breakfast. Or
food and coffee. Yeah, it solves it. Yeah.
Honestly, it could be that simple, Rob. It really could be.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways it is. It's just doing something nice. It's really about being of service to other people. How can you go out there and serve other people? And sometimes people don't want it. They don't want you to be of service. They don't want to take it. They're a little bit standoffish on that because they think at least as again from my perspective as a ENTJ, one of those guys who I'm just going to solve these problems. I can handle it on my own. To have somebody come through and then say, okay, that's cool. I know you're tough. I know you're strong. I know you can handle it all on your own. But also, there's an opportunity here for us to go and just connect on a different level. I think there's a lot of power to that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I've read a lot on the subject, and I've talked to a lot of professionals. My mom works for one of the biggest methadone clinics in the city.
Yeah.
Or clinics to help rehab centers. And nobody said just spend quality time with them. Nobody said just be a positive influence, spend time. I've not heard that in any forum that's really popular right now. So what you're doing, your mission, it may be starting something that a real awareness needs to be that people need other people. People need to be around other people, and the connections that we have are what's really going to have a positive effect on our families and our friends who are going through situations like this.
Yeah.
So your message, man, it's powerful. It's time for you to write a book, Rob.
Well, I appreciate that. And hey, congratulations on your book. I literally just bought a copy yesterday.
Yeah, man.
So I got my copy. I haven't had a chance to dive into it yet, but that's a huge accomplishment. It is on my to-do list. I'm trying to be like you, and
I appreciate it.
And get it done. It's a huge accomplishment, man. So congratulations on that.
Hell yeah, but thank you. As soon as you read it, I want to get a selfie. I'm gonna fly down to Arizona. Not right away. Hold on. I want to tie myself to this. But I definitely want to get down there. Next time I'm down, I'll sign the book and just hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, and you come on the podcast, man, the Gruler Nation.
Dude, I am so down with that.
Yeah.
So in the next 4 or 5 minutes, I want to help people get in touch with you. What is the one thing, as we're growing this channel and we're promoting this video, what is the one thing that you'd like to attract towards yourself, towards your business? And what is the biggest piece of advice you can give to entrepreneurs or people who are looking to maybe start their own nonprofits, whatever, is close to your heart? What would you give people that are the real estate investors? Most of my market is real estate investors and agents, but the human beings, right?
Yeah.
What information, what advice, and how can people find out about you and work with you going forward?
Yeah, so I have a lot of different projects going on. I'll tell you, briefly about them. But the biggest thing, so when we started our company in a spare bedroom out of my house on a folding table, my business partner and I just on our laptops, just trying to figure it out.
Yep.
One of the things that we overlooked, and it's something that it was to our detriment. It took us a long time to figure it out. We just had 5 years, and we're just now kind of catching our stride on it. But it comes down to really, really being crystal clear on what your mission is, and then turning that mission into a vision, and then building a culture around it. And I mean, it's so cliche at this point. Everybody says, what's your mission statement? What are your values? And blah, blah, blah. And you go, look, my value is to grow my business and make money. I need to build this. Right. And when you're kind of in the grindstone, like we were, we didn't have time to think about that. We didn't have time to think. We just said, okay, look, we don't have jobs. We got to go build a website. You're kind of a technician at that point. We got to build a website and recruit some clients and this. Okay, crap. Now we're so busy. We got to go hire somebody. Whoever can turn a computer on, you're hired. All right. And just keep moving and moving and moving. And in that whole process, we overlooked those really key important concepts. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why is it important to us? Who are we really trying to help? What do we want to do to change the way people practice law or think of lawyers? Or how are we going to deliver our services differently? And why should people care about it? Because what ended up happening is we ended up, bringing on employees who didn't know, because we didn't know. We didn't define it. And by not defining it, they didn't have any idea what we were doing. And so when we had some people come in and try to figure out, help us with our coaching and stuff, and they said, yeah, your team doesn't know what you're doing. The mission of the firm in their eyes was, just to grow the firm. Right. And, meanwhile, Ryan and I are sitting back and we're saying, that's not the mission at all. That's not what we're passionate about. That's not why we do what we do. Right. But they didn't know that because we weren't crystal clear on it. We didn't write it down. We never put pen to paper and become clear. And since we have done that, we have our 7 pillars now, and we've got a very clear mission and vision and all this stuff. We've attracted the right types of employees. So people join our team, and we've attracted the right types of clients. So, people who come in and they say, I identify with you guys. I like what you're doing. Your mission is my mission. How can you help me? And we've repelled a little bit more some of the people who aren't a good fit for our services. They don't agree with it. And our business has grown dramatically as a result of that shift. And so I would encourage anybody who is flirting with entrepreneurship or your own business is become really clear on that. It sounds boring. It sounds like it's not going to be productive, to sit down and write, this is my vision. This is my mission. You may know it, you may feel it in your heart, but you got to put pen to paper and make it concrete. And so it's known and you can spread that around. And it'll only get better from there, and it'll evolve. It'll develop. You don't need to answer it in one day, but at least start thinking that way. As far as finding me, so our law firm, it's R&R Law Group. We're at rrlawaz.com. We have, as I said, we practice all over Arizona. We handle a number of different cases. Our YouTube is something that I'm working really hard on. You can link to that at rrlaw.tv. So if you just type that in, it's going to forward you right to our channel. I have a segment on there that I just started. It's called Watching the Watchers. So what we do is I monitor police and prosecutors and judges and politicians, basically anybody who's involved in the criminal justice system. I will bring you news about them with some commentary. I actually call out the judges, or I call out people, including police officers. So this officer right here was just fired. Glendale officer fired. He was facing some facing firing over use of force. He resigns. So that's a police officer. And back on my wall, I have a list of mugshots from the different police officers. So it's a little controversial, but it's fun.
People love the controversy.
It's controversial. It's been very good because people, it's kind of holding them accountable. So that's a fun segment. I just started a coaching program for other lawyers. So it's very specific to the legal niche. You can find that at grulermethod.com. We've got the Gruler Nation podcast. You can go to grulernation.com for the podcast. You can go to ericshouse.org, which is the nonprofit for people suffering from a loss. And then you've got Clean Slate Sobriety.org, which is my workshop that I do. So I'm all over the place, man. And I'm on Instagram at WowRob. It's it's been a lot of fun, and it's been a journey, and a lot of it is a result of, some of the coaching that you and I received, and it's been awesome to be connected with you and see what you're doing, because you're hustling as well, man. I see what you're doing. I see your videos. I see your book. I see all your interviews. You're doing a great stuff, and so we're in good company. Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest values to that event, and that event really pushed me to do this, right?
Yeah.
And how to word it the right way to help people in a positive manner.
Yeah.
And attract the right people into the business.
Right.
But yeah, that's one of the biggest values I get out of any course that I do is I'm in the room with people who are looking to grow, people looking at more people, and just champions, just people who are really high energy, looking to improve yourself. And I feel the same way. What you're doing, Rob, it's a necessary mission. Even if the police and the judges aren't appreciating what you're doing, the fact that you're doing it in an ethical, moral way, and you're paying more attention to, hey, look, a lot of our police are good, and most of them are, right?
Right.
The handful that are not have to be stopped because it's just unethical at this point.
Right.
And putting an eye on them, but an attorney's eye, not not just a scumbag with a camera. It's a guy saying, hey, look, like, this is legitimate. This is how it should have been done. And, maybe he should have resigned, maybe shouldn't have resigned, but this is the right thing to do, right? It's just educating people and making people feel more safe with the law enforcement that we have,
Yeah, and it's a great point. I do have segments where I cover what they're doing positively.
Yeah.
There was a story on them getting trained on the Narcan stuff so they could help people who were overdosing. I thought that was great. They're putting more body cams on people. Great. They're changing some policies around, and I want to encourage them to do those things because they're the right things to do for society. But there's also a lot of problems. There's a lot of cover-ups. There's a lot of things where cops will get away with stuff that you or I would never get away with. We'd be in jail if we did it. And they just get a slap on the wrist and they're right back out on the street. So I'm trying to do my part in a number of different ways. And, we'll see where it goes. It's been a lot of fun, though.
Yeah. No, Rob, I appreciate you, man. It is great having you here on interviewing and sharing what you've got. Thank you for sharing us all the links. And honestly, man, just keep doing what you're doing. Guys, when you have a choice, always work with the best. This man is changing the world, so make sure you're a part of it. Cheers.
Thanks, my friend.
Later, Rob.
See ya.